There are three main religions that are in the world. There are a lot of religions that are in the world, but I guess I can say there are three main religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism.
And what?
Judaism.
Right.
There are many other forms of religion, but these are the main three that we hear about in the news, or these are the main three that we may find ourselves a part of. Christianity is the largest religion on the planet, with 2.1 billion members. And there are many varying sects of Christianity: Methodist, Episcopalian, Pentecostal. There are many different sects of Christianity. The basic belief is that Jesus is the Son of God, and that in order to get to God, you have to come by way of Jesus. And we all heard the wonderful scripture that John just gave us from the Bible in preparation for his speech. Islam is the second largest religion and the fastest growing religion. Islam has 1.5 billion members worldwide. They essentially believe that Muhammad was the last prophet that was sent to the planet. And the main underwriting belief that they have is that there is one God, and that you should submit to this one God. Now, also, like Christianity, there are varying sects of Islam. You have Sufi, Shiite. Those are mainly over in other countries. You have Nation of Islam here, as well as different variations of Islam. Judaism has an estimated 14 million believers, and they essentially believe in the law as it was handed down to Moses. We're all familiar with the Ten Commandments that were handed down to Moses on the mountain. So most of us identify with a certain belief, which was likely handed down to us from our parents. And most of these beliefs were, I guess I can say, spoon-fed to us. You know, pretty soon John is going to be force-feeding his daughter Gerber, you know, Infamil, Similac, or whatever it may be. And in the same way, this is how most of us got whatever religion we identify with. And many times, there is an underlying threat with the beliefs that we have. Many times the underlying threat is, hey, if you don't believe this, that there are going to be consequences. You know, for you all that have children, you know, we've reared our children that, hey, if you don't do this, there are going to be consequences. If you don't clean your room, if you don't cut the grass, if you don't, you know, there are going to be consequences. And for the most part, a lot of religious belief systems, and I can take it further than religion, a lot of belief systems, just period, philosophical or whatnot, have that similar underlining threat. But many of the beliefs of a lot of these different systems are rooted in, are based in ignorance, fear, racism, and sexism. For a while, Christians used to believe that, and used to teach, that blacks were the cursed descendants of Ham. And there's a lot more to this story, but apparently Ham saw his father naked and was turned a certain color because of this, and his descendants were cursed. Jews used to preach that they were the chosen people of God, and they were for a time. Some Muslims used to preach that whites were devils. But what is the truth? Because a lot of people are believing these things, and like I said, a lot of it is based in racism, fear, sexism, or ignorance. So what is the truth? I heard a story about a centerpede that was going for his morning walk. And he's coming up to the banks of a river. And watching the centipede is a frog. The frog had never seen a centipede before. So he sees this creature and he can't believe it. So he wipes his eyes, blinks. He can't believe it. He said, wait a minute, this thing has 100 legs. How does it maintain? How does it manage? How does it know which leg to put in front of another? Which leg goes first? Which leg goes second? Which one goes third? Which one goes fourth? He couldn't believe it. And so the question came into his mind, how does the centipede manage? So the frog hops over to the centipede during his morning walk and asks him, Mr. Centipede, I have a question to ask you. I've never seen you before, but watching you this morning, a philosophical question has popped into my head, and I have to ask you, how do you manage? You have 100 legs. How do you know which leg goes in front? How do you know which one goes first, second, third, etc.? And the centipede said, I never thought about it. I just do what I do. The centipede said, wow, you must be a great philosopher. Speaking to the frog, you must be a great mathematician. I didn't even know I had 100 legs. But I will consider your philosophy. I will consider the question that you have asked me and see how I manage to walk. So the frog jumps away, and the centipede is now considering this question. How do I walk with 100 legs? Which leg do I put first? Which leg do I put second? And as he's thinking about this, he begins to walk off. And immediately, all of his legs become entangled one into another. And he falls over on his back. At this point, he doesn't understand what's going on. But he can't get the question out of his head. So, the frog comes back. And the centipede now is upset. He said, why did you ask me this question? Now that you have put this thought in my mind, I can't even function. I can no longer walk because this thought is in my mind. So how often in life do we have the philosophy in our mind that is not the correct philosophy? Whether that philosophy is 2 + 2 is 5, whether that philosophy is blacks are cursed because they are the descendants of Ham, whether that philosophy that whites are devils, whether that philosophy that this particular person is better than this particular person because of whatever, whether that philosophy is if I eat 15 Twinkies a day, I'm going to be healthy, because some people have that philosophy. Whether that philosophy is, hey, if I go to McDonald's every day and eat, I'm going to be fine. Whether that philosophy is, if I invest all of my money into Enron, I'll be fine. Everyone has a philosophy. But what is the philosophy? I feel like I'm going to get clapped soon. What is the philosophy of the birds? What is the philosophy of the centipede? What was the philosophy of the centipede before he became entangled? Before the centipede became entangled, his philosophy was to do what comes naturally. Not 2 + 2 is 5. To do what comes naturally. A lot of times we have been so consumed by the Gerber that has been handed to us. As children, we don't know. Here we come into this world under loving parents that try to do the best that they can for us. And sometimes they do right, and sometimes they miss the mark. That's part of being human. So as we evolve, as we get older and evolve, it may be wise to reconsider some of your philosophy towards health, towards love, towards wealth, towards religion. Because we don't want to be like the centipede, who was functioning perfectly, along with the millions of other centipedes that were functioning perfectly. until he got a hold of the wrong philosophy. So following John's lead, I'm going to end with a quote before Laura claps me off. If you don't follow your own thoughts, you're going to follow the thoughts of the man who followed his. Thank you.